Good. Good release. Real good. Rotation's looking good. .54. .412.
Please deliver your clockwise last stone draw. Deliver your counterclockwise last stone draw. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Roman 12 of the 2019-2020 World Junior League Wellness Championship and introduce you to the teams competing on this draw. The round will be introduced to team sports draw that you are asked to switch your mobile phones to silent, and you are welcome to take photos, but please turn off the flash function as the flash is a distraction to the players. For this draw, we have Team Italy versus Team United States on sheet A. Team Denmark versus Team Germany on sheet B. Team Slovenia versus Team Latvia on sheet C. Team Turkey versus Team Czech Republic on sheet D. Team New Zealand versus Team Australia on sheet E. Team Spain versus Team Austria on sheet F. Games will be in 1 minute. Practice slides may be taken. Good luck and good curling. Vi kan avsluta som vi har skrivit ihållningen.
Hello to those of you already watching the live stream from this session, and welcome to the Curling Finland broadcast from the World Junior B Curling Championships of 2019-2020. Today we'll be featuring the game between Turkey and Czech Republic, as you can see, and this is a junior women's round. Throughout the broadcast you'll be able to see also the games on sheet E, where New Zealand is playing against Australia, and on sheet C, where Slovenia is playing against Latvia. If the teams are playing at a slightly different pace, we will of course be following mainly the Turkey-Czech Republic game. And as the second player of Team Czech Republic is getting ready to throw her first rock, I'll introduce you to the lineup of the Czech team. Their lead is Teresa Baudisova, second is Emma Tinklova, third player Karolina Spundova, and fourth and skip Luisa Klimova. And for Team Turkey, we have Selene Diler playing lead, and I apologize for any mispronunciation of the names. Second, Hilal Nevruz. Third, Kader Masit. She's also playing vice. And fourth, Miriban Polat, who is also skipping. both of the teams have played only one game so far in this championship, and are situated differently in the standings at the moment because Turkey won their very even game against Austria yesterday. The game finished 7-8, and Czech Republic was playing against USA and lost that game 8-3. If we have some people watching who have not been watching any games from this championship before, there's quite a few teams on both the women's and men's side. On the women's side, there's a total of 19 teams playing for those 3 spots in the Junior World Championship next spring. And the women's teams are divided into 3 groups of either 6 or 7 teams. In the group where Czech Republic and Turkey play, there's a total of 6 teams, and besides these 2 teams, there's Italy, United States, Austria, and Spain in that group. And now getting to the actual game, it looks like both of the teams are happy to keep things simple for the first end. They're exchanging takeouts and taking no big risks with really going for it right from the start. The teams working together there to make sure the correct rocks are moved out of play or out of playing area, and they come to an agreement without the help of the umpire. And we're getting ready for the skip rocks of this end. And we'll probably be exchanging takeouts until the end of this first end, and with the goal that Turkey will be trying to peel the rock away from the house and make sure they get a 0 on the board and keep the hammer for the second end. And for those of you watching, if at any point during the broadcast it feels like the volume from either the playing field or the commentary needs to be adjusted, please feel free to comment on that. And if you have any questions about the strategy or the technique involved in the game that doesn't get covered in this commentary, or any of the terminology seems weird, then also feel free to ask. A good shot there by the Czech skip Luisa Klimova. Make sure she gets rid of that Turkey rock in the house. Unfortunately, rolls out, and Turkey will just be throwing this rock through, I would imagine. They want them wanting to keep the hammer for the second end. And our second end is underway. Looks like Czech Republic were still planning to keep these simple, take their first rock into the center of the house. Unfortunately, that shot is a little bit too heavy and just goes through the house. It will be interesting to see whether Turkey will take this all the way into the house or whether they will go for a corner guard. We can see the skip showing where she would like to have that rock. So it looks like Turkey's getting ready to play a little bit more aggressively, trying to build the end and give themselves an opportunity for a score of 2 with the advantage of the last rock in this end. As our leads are setting up the end, I'm gonna go through the other sheets and let you know what's going on. Most of them have finished the first end as well. In the Italy-USA game, the score is also 0-0 after the first end. In the Denmark-Germany game, Germany's leading by 1 after the first end. Slovenia-Latvia also 0-0 after the first end. New Zealand-Australia. Australia has taken 1 point from the first end. And Spain and Austria are still playing their first end, so no update there yet. Turkey making sure they get rid of that Czech Republic rock there in the house, going for a hidden roll with the goal of getting their own one behind the guard. Unfortunately, the shot overcurls a little bit and rolls out of the house. as that draw by the Czech player is a little bit short. This end will probably take a turn towards being a little bit more aggressive. Czech Republic wanted that rock in the house there, and leaving it as a guard has given Turkey the opportunity to come around behind that corner guard that they placed there at the start of the end. Really beautiful line there by the Turkish player. Just a little bit too heavy with the weight, and gives the Czech team a chance to follow that rock along that path. Not a bad looking shot there by Emma Kinkova, but unfortunately a little too heavy because of the weight. The rock doesn't curl enough to catch the red one in the house. So a couple meters less weight, the line would have looked a lot better. And Turkey choosing to follow the same line and hoping that this rock will not finish as deep in the house. They want to keep it hopefully on top of the tee line, so they don't leave such an easy opportunity for the Czech Republic team to follow that and place their rock in a better position. And a great shot there by the Czech player, Karolina Spundova. Beautiful weight, really well swept by the Czech team. Takes out both of the Turkey rocks there on the sidelines. From our view from the overhead camera, it looks to me though that some of that yellow rock, because it bounced a little bit, will be visible from the hack. So it is potentially a shot that the players can really get to with a kind of a soft through the house weight. It may be possible to tap that yellow quite far as long as the angle's right. Unfortunately, this one for Turkey, unfortunately for them, it doesn't curl enough and just sails by. The weight looked about right. I think it just needed maybe a little bit less ice and it would have been exactly what they were looking for. And a good choice here by the Czech skip Luisa Klimova. They've got a good rock on the left-hand side of the house. That's the shot rock at the moment, so she's wanting to make sure that she gets another good one in there that will have separation compared to the rock that they placed on the left-hand side of the house. And another wonderful shot by Karolina Spundova. Really good draw weight control at the moment from the third player of the Czech team. It really makes such a difference when your team is able to place the rocks on top of the tee line and the draw weight doesn't vary too much and the rocks don't end up at the back of the house. And the Turkish team was sweeping really hard at that last rock of the Turkish third player, Kader Masit, but it wasn't even close to getting into the playing area, so it might be that it picked something up or there was a bad judgment call with the weight. Turkey really would have liked to have that rock somewhere on the top 8 in front of the yellow that Turkey just played, Czech Republic just played there, or get it really well hidden on the 4-foot in the blue rings to make sure that they are shot rock before the skip rocks come down the ice. And with the first rock of the Czech skip, Luisa Klimova, the Czech Republic is trying to get another really good draw in there. And not a bad shot at all, just a little too heavy. It makes its way all the way to the back of the 4-foot. So it does give Turkey the opportunity to try and bring their own draw into a position on the button or in the very center of the house that this yellow rock that Czech Republic just played will provide them with a bit of backing. A great effort there by the Turkish fourth player, Mirivan Polat. Very close to getting past that yellow rock on the top 8 on the white rings. And really good sweeping by the team, but the weight was just maybe a little bit short to make it all the way to where Turkey wanted it to be. So now the Turkish fourth player will have to get her mindset right, and she will likely be throwing against 3 or 4 Czech Republic rocks in the house that will be in a better position than the rock that Turkey just played. An interesting end, definitely. Really good shot making and really good weight control by both of the teams, and Turkey started really strong with their good draws to the left side of the house, but with the third rocks, Czech Republic really made a difference in this end. There was a couple of beautiful draws that really turned this end around for them. And a great sneaky little tap there by the Czech Republic skip Luisa Klimova. The benefit of that shot Czech Republic just played is definitely that it blocks that same tap for Turkey. So the red rug that the Turkish skip just put there They can't really use that for a tap anymore. Before, they could have tapped it a little bit further in the house and try to get their 1 point that way. But because Louisa was able to tap that yellow a little bit further, it takes that tap away from the Turkish team, and now they will really have to go for a straight draw into the house, and there's definitely not a lot of room for that. Looking at the weight of the shot, maybe they did not go for a draw at all, or she just threw it a little bit heavy. It might have been just a shot that was outplayed a little bit with the weight. So all in all, a great end for Czech Republic, and Turkey started really strong there too. The Czech Republic just finished that a lot better. Some great shot making by both the third player and fourth player of the Czech team. And before the girls get going in the third end, a quick update on the other sheets. Slovenia and Latvia game. Latvia is leading 2-0 after 2 ends. Denmark and Germany. Denmark's leading 2-1 after 2 ends. Italy, USA. Italy has taken a score of 2 from the second end. So 2-0 over there. Australia is continuing to play very strong. They had a great game last night too, and they are now leading 4-0 against New Zealand. So they have taken a steal of 3 in the second end. And Spain and Austria are still a little bit behind the rest of us. So they haven't finished second end yet, but after the first, Austria is leading 1-0. And as I can see, there's more people watching now, so I would like to repeat what I said before about if you feel like any of the volume settings need adjustment, if you would like to hear more from the playing area and hear less from me or the other way around, please feel free to comment in the live chat. And also, if you have any questions regarding the game or the strategy, technique, scoring, whatever, feel free to ask, and I will try to help if I can. So a very similar setup here in our third end. Czech Republic has placed a very well played shot there by their lead, Teresa. And you want to have control of that forefoot when you're the team that's starting, when you're wanting to steal more and make sure the other guy cannot direct the game to the side of the house. And Turkey, just like in the last end, started with that corner guard. Now they are trying to use that by playing a hit and roll off of that top rock. Looking at the angles of the 2 yellow rocks, there's a really great opportunity there for a bit of a hit and roll, and you might even get a double at the same time. Unfortunately, the second rock of their lead, Selenay, overcurls a little bit. It should have been hitting the rock on the other side to roll behind that red corner guard. and a really well placed guard there by the Czech team and their second player Emma Kinkova. You can't see the entire shot from the view that we're able to give you, but one of the Czech sweepers was really working that hard all through the sheet, and the reason why only one of them was sweeping was to get a little bit more curl into the rock. So she was sweeping to make sure it curls enough, and they wanted to make sure that the other guy who is sweeping the other way doesn't affect that curl. Only in the very end, they both really went for it to make the rock finish its curl really well and get that guard so well positioned. But here we see a really good shot by Team Turkey. Whenever you're able to place a rock on top of the tee lane and you've got some backing provided by the rocks of the opposition, you're always in a situation where the other guys have to think a little bit. Do we want to react to the rock that was just placed here? Is our rock so good we want to decide to guard it? Or do they try to maybe get another rock in the house and try to angle it so that Turkey won't be able to use it? And looking at where Louisa is holding her broom in the house, it looks like she would be very happy with a shot where they angle that yellow with that red to make sure it's a rock that Turkey won't be able to use later on. A pretty good shot there by the Czech team. It didn't curl to the right hand or right side of the red one. I think they wanted it to the left side of that red one, but not a bad result at all, and it had absolutely perfect weight. The line just wasn't quite there. And with the way you can see the three rocks in the house at the moment, it did provide Turkey with an interesting opportunity. If they had hidden that yellow rock on the white rings on the top 8 and hit the right hand side of that yellow a little bit, they could have played a double takeout of the yellows and left 2 of their own rocks in the house. And I think that was maybe the plan with their previous shot, but unfortunately it was either not enough ice or it overcurled a lot and hit the guard that Czech placed on the a little bit off of left of the center line before. And the angles that are there at the moment might not be there later on. I think this call was for a guard by the Czech team, and unfortunately it's a little bit heavy. It also overcurls a little bit, so it's not really protecting the rocks in the house. And here you can see the Turkish skip showing what she would like, where she would like the player to hit the rock. Let's see if our Turkish third player Kader can make this happen. It doesn't look like a very heavyweight hit. For that double, they might need a little bit more weight unless the angle is absolutely perfect. Maybe they were not looking at the same shot I was. Maybe they wanted to hit the inside of it, but I do think the double was definitely there. An okay end result for them, but unfortunately it does leave their own red rock completely exposed, and now the Czech Republic skip is looking at a hidden roll to roll their own one behind their yellow there in the red rings. I don't mind this call at all. You might leave Turkey with a couple of doubles if you roll it onto the left-hand side of this sheet. So even rolling it to the right-hand side and using the red corner guard there might not be a bad call. This looks pretty good. Yeah, great shot by the Czech team. It overcurled a little bit, but because they had that other rock there to stop the movement, they're able to leave three rocks in the house before the last rock of the Turkish third player, Kader Masit. The Czech team has definitely started very strong in this end, or the whole game actually. So the Turkish will need to pick up the pace just a little bit to keep the game even. And both of the Turkish players calling really hard for line. Maybe they weren't calling for line, maybe she was calling for weight, because it definitely wasn't close to the yellow on the top 12. There was quite a bit of room to get past that, and it was a really nice draw weight by their third player, but unfortunately you can see pretty much all that red. Maybe a little bit of it is covered looking at it from the hack. But definitely an opportunity for the Czech skip to get rid of that and leave them lying 4 in the house before the skip rocks of the Turkish team. So putting a lot of pressure on Turkey at the moment if she makes this one. And unfortunate miss there by the Czech skip. The shot overcurled a little bit, and it has given great opportunity for Turkey to make sure they get on the scoreboard from this end. Still a couple of rocks to come, so this is now the first rock of their skip, Mihrimah Polat. And Turkey decided to go for a takeout of the yellow rock there on the left-hand side. It might be a pretty well-placed rock. As earlier it looked a little bit like if you play it there, you're going to leave the Czech skip a double with her last one. But even if the double's there, there is a risk of jamming the left red rock onto that yellow there on the left hand side of the house. It looks like it might be going that way, even if she hits that double well. And looking at where the Czech team puts the broom, I think they agree with me. They're probably thinking that the double's really not there. It's too risky. So they're going to go for a takeout of the best rock right there close to the center line and try to roll their own one a little bit in front of the red that's left of the center line, so that they make it really hard for Turkey for their last one to score more points. It's looking pretty good as it's coming down. Oh, the double was just there. A good shot. It did touch the yellow a little bit, but that was well judged by the Czech team. And with the last one, the last rock of this end, I think we'll be seeing just a normal takeout, trying to make sure they hit and stick the stone and take 1 point from this end. The Turkey team seems pretty happy with the line of the shot. But unfortunately it does not curl as much as they were expecting it to, and it rolls just to the side of the rings, and it looked to me like Czech Republic takes a steal of one here. All in all, some good curling from both of the teams in that third end of the game, and some smart tactical choices by both of them as well. The Czech team was making their shots just a little bit more clean and bringing them exactly where they wanted to most of the time, but then towards the end they did give Turkey a bit of an opportunity with the miss of that first skip rock. A pretty good start there by the Czech team again. They probably wanted that a little bit deeper in the house, all the way to the 4 foot, but the line is pretty good again. They're touching the center line a little bit. And now the corner guard here by the Turkish team unfortunately looks to be a little bit too heavy. So now that that was accidentally thrown all the way into the house, that means the Czech team is able to take it out. If it had been a corner guard, so it would stay in that white area in front of the house, the Czech team could not take out that rock yet, and they would have to wait for a few more rocks to be able to peel away the guards to keep the game simple. It's more easily said than done, apparently, and a miss there by the Czech lead, Tereza Baudisova. gives Turkey a good opportunity to take control of this end. So because that yellow Czech rock is pretty much almost in the guard area, even though it's in the house, Turkey is deciding to use that as a guard for one of their shots. Or they might be just splitting the house, so taking a rock to the left-hand side of the house. That was a very important shot to get right for Turkey to make sure they keep the opportunity to score a 2 here, and that was a really well played draw there by Hilal Nevros from the Turkish team. Another near miss there by the Czech team. Looking at our camera angle, it looks like that red one is just outside of the house, but the way it rolled back a little, I wonder if it could be just touching the rings of the house. Normally you need to look at the rock right on top of it to make sure if it's completely out of the house, so you can't really tell from the angle that we're getting in our footage. And here you see another great draw by Nevros. She's really got perfect draw weight at the moment. So Turkey lying 2 on the sides of the house. There's that one yellow rock on top of the house that's definitely better than that one red rock on the back of the house that might be just touching the rings. But things looking really good for Turkey in this end. They weren't able to get their guards, but because Czech team had a couple of misses or near misses, has helped Turkey out a little bit, and they have been playing absolutely perfect so far in this end. Surprisingly, Czech Republic is really struggling with the takeouts at the moment. They were very precise with their draws and had really good weight control for the first 2 or 3 ends, but there wasn't that many takeouts in the last 2 ends, and somehow it seems like they're not maybe quite finding the weight that they want for the takeout, for the amount of ice that's taken for that takeout. So sweepers having to work really hard to make sure they even hit the rock at the moment. A very unfortunate miss there by Turkey. The Czech team is definitely giving them opportunities in this end, and with the strategy that Turkey has chosen of not using that yellow there as a guard for their shots, they're going for these open draws, and as soon as you miss one, you give the other guy an opportunity to take away your chance for 2 points in this end. The Czech team still not quite finding the right amount of ice or weight to play to hit and stick their takeouts, but just taking it out is good enough for them at the moment. And looks like Turkey here is going for a takeout as well. So they're hoping to get rid of that yellow rock on the top 12 and have a nice hit and roll of their own rock to the right hand side of the sheet. So I think this means that the red rock that you see in the back of the house is in fact in the house and would be a rock that Turkey can score with if they get this takeout right. Unfortunately, they do not. It is just the kind of hit that they were not looking for, and it takes out that red rock in the back of the house as well. At the moment, it's looking like the 2-point opportunity Turkey had is drying up, and they will have to try again in the next end. If all the players succeed what they will try for the rest of the end, I believe this will be 0 points for both teams. But another close call there for the Czech team. Really struggling with the takeouts at the moment, but catches just enough of that Turkish rock to get it outside of the house. Turkey wants to draw now to the left-hand side of the house. And maybe if Czech Republic tries to take it out later on, there would be a chance to jam the rock to that red rock that is just behind the house. It doesn't look like it's close enough to really work for the Turkish team, but it might be. The Turkish skip gets that one in the house, and the Czech team is now planning which way to hit it. Where do we want to hit it? Where do we want to roll our own rock? The important thing now for Czech Republic is to make sure that however much ice they take for the shot, they at least hit the rock. Comparing where they're holding in the room to the shots they played before, it looks like the skip is maybe planning to throw a little bit more weight than before and try to make sure that the rock she's playing rolls nicely to the right side of the house after first hitting the red one out. And Sweeper's working really hard on this one. She does get that hit to the left-hand side of the rock, but it rolls too much and finishes just outside of the house. I suspect Turkey will still choose to keep the hammer. Oh, sorry, it's not the last rock yet. I'm in a rush to get to the break. We still got 2 skip rocks coming. So Turkey still with a chance to take a score from this end. They have now chosen to play the draw to the other side of the house. So where you can see that yellow rock behind the house. If they place their draw in front of that, it will leave the Czech team with a slightly more difficult takeout, with the risk of, after the takeout, jamming the red one onto that yellow one. And a beautiful draw there by the Turkish skip Mihriban Polat. It is exactly where it needs to be. The line's absolutely perfect, and now the Czech team just needs to make sure they hit either a little bit to the left of the center of the rock or to the right. A straight hit here isn't really ideal because it will make that red rock jam onto that yellow on the back. Oh, and that was good, sneaky planning there by Turkey. It was the jam that we were looking at before, but lucky for the Czech team, the angle was good enough that after it hit the yellow, it still had enough weight to roll out of the playing area. So what this will mean is Turkey will probably try to just get rid of this yellow one, roll their own one out, keep the hammer, and take 0 from this end. Some teams at this point before the break might choose to take 1 point, so really try to make that hit and stick perfect and take 1. But now they're having to work really hard just to get it. Oh, an unfortunate miss there by Mihriban. Not sure what was the problem there, why it overcurled so much. They were really calling for the line from around the middle of the sheet. They didn't get on it right away, so they definitely weren't expecting it to curl that much. So what looked like could have been a 0 or a 1 for Turkey is now a steal of 1 for the Czech Republic. So the teams now go on to their 5-minute break, and at that point our total score is 4-0 for the Czech team. In just a second I will go through the other sheets and tell you what's happening around us. On sheet F, where Spain's playing against Austria, Austria is leading 4-2 after 3 ends. In the New Zealand-Australia game, Australia's continuing in good form. They've played 3 ends, and Australia is now leading 5-0. In the Latvia-Slovenia game, they have finished 4 ends, and Latvia is leading 5-0. In the Denmark-Germany game, Denmark's leading by 1 point, so 3-2 for Denmark over there at the moment. And the US team and Italy are having their break right in front of the scoreboard, so can't really see what's happening there, but I will let you know when I can. Okay, so welcome back from the break. The fifth end of our feature game between Turkey and Czech Republic is underway. And so after the first 4 ends, Czech Republic is leading 4-0. So Turkey really needs to have a good start to the second half of the game. They're going for that corner guard again that they've not quite been able to use earlier on in the game, but it looks like a pretty well-placed corner guard. And the Czech team there is discussing quite a defensive strategy of, should we try to move this corner guard a little bit, play a kind of a tick shot. So what they're looking for is kind of a hack weight throw that would just touch the left side of that red rock and move it more to the right. So it'll be a rock that the other team is not able to use as a guard later on. They're sweeping this one really hard, but probably hitting it way too much. Oh no, I'm too late. It wasn't a tick shot, it was just a take out. It was just peeling the guard. I was a little bit late to the start of the end, so I was thinking we're still playing the first few rocks of the end where you cannot take away guards yet. But we were further on in the end, so it is possible to take away guards. Unfortunately, this peeling of the guard didn't quite work, so they just left their own rock there. And when we were on our break, I promised you the score from the Italy USA game. It's now 4-3 for Italy once they're starting their fifth end over there. Unfortunately for Turkey, things are looking pretty good for Czech Republic again here. They're already laying 2 in the house. There's a couple guards up, and Czech Republic is now trying to play a draw around them. And the line is looking pretty good for it, and so is the weight. Pretty much right in the center of the house. They probably would have preferred it a little bit on top of the house to make sure that Turkey can't so easily follow that draw, but a beautiful shot there by the Czech player. And Turkey as well, waiting for this one to curl a little bit. But unfortunately, it is just a couple meters heavy. And the jack skip sweeping so hard, so she falls down a little bit and maybe touches the rock a little bit, but the two players agree on where it should be placed. Things are looking pretty grim now for Turkey for their skip. She will only have quite challenging options left for her last shots. Depending on where Czech Republic is able to place this rock, it's looking like the Turkish skip will probably need to think about removing those two red guards to try to give herself some options for her last rock, or then use either one of the red rocks there in the guard area as run back rocks. So they will try to promote them onto the yellow and hopefully get a double of those Czech rocks in the center. I'm not sure if Czech Republic was wanting to guard or draw here, but a pretty good end result for them. When you're set up that well in the house, a guard's not a disaster, but if you did want to go for a guard, I would have guarded both of those red rocks to make sure Turkey's not able to promote them, which they are now going to try and do. And calling really hard for line for this one, and it just overcurls. The benefit of that for Turkey, from their point of view, is that now those two yellow rocks are visible, and they are in a position where Turkey can get a double and leave their own rock there. But what the Czech team is now planning to do is replace that guard with their own one, and if they're able to place it perfectly, it really doesn't leave the Turkish skip with any really easy shots or good options for her last one. The guard the Czech team was going for there definitely overcurled. They didn't quite take enough ice maybe for that, but they played that really well as a team and brought it far enough to make sure they're able to bounce off of the red ones and get that guard where it needs to be in the end. And they did, and the only option for Turkey here is to try and play a better draw right into the center of the house. The rock that's the best rock there at the moment for the Czech Republic is really well hidden. It is completely buried, and it'll be very tough to get a better draw there, because it looks like you do need to have enough weight to even tap it a little bit but when you play it with too much weight, it can be challenging to get it to curl enough. The Turkish sweepers working really hard on the weight of that shot. And a wonderful shot there by Mirivan Polat. Not sure if it was second shot or a third shot, but it does take out at least one of the yellow rocks. So the Czech team won't be getting that many points on the board. We'll see what the umpires put up, whether that was 1 or 2 for the Czech Republic. So definitely a great draw there by the Turkish team. It was another steal of 1 only for the Czech team. So the Turkish skip really helped her team out there. I don't know if there even was any chance to get best shot there with her last rock, because the Czech rock right in the middle really looked like it was almost impossible to move that anywhere. So a good end result for the Turkish team in that they're still in the game if they're able to create that one good end where they get on the scoreboard with 2 or 3 points. They still have the time to get back into the game. And while the leads are setting up the end, I can talk you through the results on the other sheets. Latvia against Slovenia next to us. Latvia is now leading 6-0 after 5 ends. Denmark, Germany. Denmark's taken a big score in the previous end. They've taken a 4, and the situation there is now 7-2. Italy, USA, after 5 ends, USA is leading 5-4. Australia, New Zealand, the score over there after 5 ends is 6-1 for Australia. And unfortunately, I'm not able to see the score on the last sheet over there. I just saw that somebody's taken a score of 6 in one end, and I will let you know who it is as soon as I can. And here we see our 6th end of this game, starting with a familiar pattern. So Czech Republic places their first draw close to the center line, controlling the top of the house. Turkey goes for that corner guard and tries to direct the game to the side of the house, which is something they haven't been successful yet in this game, and part of the reason why they're in a bit of trouble. So it looks like it was Spain who has taken that huge score of 6 in the 4th end against Austria. Austria was leading 3-2 before that happened. Oh, sorry, 4-2 before that happened. So the score over there now is 8-4 after 4 ends of play. So they're a little bit behind the rest of the teams, but they're just about to complete their 5th end over there. And let's hope Turkey is now able to make this draw perfect and get some momentum going for them. It is a great opportunity to attack at the moment. Turkey's now gonna have to be a little bit brave and not worry about the Czech rocks that the Czech team may be leaving to the rings and just biting the house. They're gonna have to forget about them and just bravely direct the game to the center of the house, take a bit of risk. But unfortunately here, this was not the shot where that was gonna happen. It's too short. It needed a few meters more weight to make it to the top 4 of the house and get that really good draw in there. And Czech Republic, I think, is making a smart choice here. Another option for them would be to start peeling a couple of the guards away because they are leading by quite a lot, but they have chosen to just draw behind those central line guards and be the first team that gets their rock in there. If they make it perfect, what's going to happen is they're going to leave really challenging shots for the Turkish team again. This one, however, is not perfect. It finishes in the back of the house, so Turkey still has that opportunity to get that really good draw in there and try to create a chance for 2 or 3 here. And now Turkey finally gets that perfect line, but unfortunately this one too, it's a little bit short still. The sweepers were working really hard on it, but not enough, and it really needed to be a little bit further in the house, especially because there's 2 of those yellow rocks that Czech Republic has been able to leave on the rings of the house. It would have been really beneficial for Turkey to get that even just 10 centimeters further, so it would have been the shot rock in this end at this point. and it looks like the Czech Republic is the first team to get that really good draw in there. It is a little bit behind the button, so it does give Turkey the opportunity to follow that, but they absolutely do need to nail that path, make the exact same throw, and just freeze their own rock onto it. Instead of the draw, though, what Turkey is looking at now is, should we go for that double? Should we try and use the yellow rock on the left-hand side of the house and play a takeout off of that, or a hidden roll? So you would have two options. You could go for a double takeout of the rocks and just leave your own one in the center if you get the angle perfect, or what you could do is you just try and hit and roll your own one on top of that yellow one. Definitely not an easy shot, but it looks like it's there, and that's what they've decided to go for with the, I think it's the first rock of the third, or is it already the second? Oh, I think it's the second rock of the third player, Kader Masit. I think Turkey really needs this kind of big shot to work out. But unfortunately, what you could not see in our camera is Kader, as she starts out from the hack, is looking pretty good, but something happens and she falls down a little bit, tries to push the rock the right way, but is not able to correct the mistake, and it's a complete miss for them. And with the first skip rock coming down for the Czech team, they're going for another draw. So they're hoping the rock to finish somewhere on the top four, so the top part of those blue rings. And it is looking really, really good for that. That is pretty much the perfect line and the perfect way to play there, so definitely a beautiful shot there by Luisa Klimova, and I do not envy the position that puts the Turkish skip in. I'm not quite sure what the choice here is. It looks like they're maybe gonna try and throw a bit of weight at this, so a heavier takeout and trying to catch just the left hand side of this rock, and maybe it looks like there's a double there. Yeah, that's the call as the rock's coming down. Let's see what happens. But unfortunately it's a complete miss. They were sweeping it a little bit at the start, so they were thinking it was going to curl enough to catch that yellow rock a little bit. But unfortunately, that's a miss on the wrong hand side, sort of. What would have been okay would have been to hit that yellow guard as an option, because at least then you would have a little bit more room for your last shot. But here, they didn't really benefit from this in any way. It was an unfortunate miss completely, and it gives the Czech team an opportunity to put even more pressure on the Turkish team.
Always speaks on how
and a really nicely placed guard there by the Czech skip Luisa Klimova. She played 2 really good walks in this end, as did pretty much the whole team. They've absolutely taken control of this end and left very challenging shots for Turkey, and they've just not gotten that successful shot that they needed. Miriban Palat, the Turkish skip, played a really beautiful draw in the previous end, so let's hope she's able to pull off this hidden roll double, triple that their third player was trying for before. They're calling very hard for line for this shot, and unfortunately it looks like it has overcurled a lot. So it is looking like it'll be a steal of 3 for Czech Republic. And I think the teams will now be discussing whether they will continue the game or not, because after 6 ends, it is possible to shake hands with the opposition if you think like there is no way that you can catch up. And as you can see, Turkey has decided that was enough for us today. You guys were better, and we're gonna go get some rest and get ready for the next game. It was a pretty even match, all in all. It doesn't look like that at all on the scoreboard, but some really good shot making by both of the teams. Czech Republic was just a little bit more accurate, and they made the shots that count really well. So makes all the difference in the end result. The chief ice makers here are making my day, bringing me chocolate. I love a bit of bribery. What we will do now is we'll give you an interview of the players if we can grab any of them. We'll get you the audio of the interview for sure, maybe a bit of visual as well, and we'll choose another game to follow. I will have a look at the scoreboards around us, and we'll try to pick a game that looks like it'll be very even until the end. So bear with us just a minute. So we'll be moving our camera a little bit, and bear with us. We've decided to try and show you Italy, USA. It is on the site sheets, but I think we're able to get you visual of that because it's the only game that's looking very even at the moment. So I think it will definitely go the full 8 ends unless something very strange happens. Hopefully you can see okay there. So the game that we're following is happening on the site sheet over there, so sheet A, and it's a game between USA and Italy. And the score over there is at the moment 6-4 for USA. They have just taken a steal of 1 from the 6th end, and the end that we're following at the moment is the 7th end. And as you can probably count and see, the lead rocks from both teams have been played, and that was the first rock of the second player of the US team.
Could you repeat it, please?
Do you have any expectations for the next game?
Well, we will try our best. We will play against strong Italy, and we will try not to make more mistakes than the previous games.
How did you prepare before this game?
We will maybe look about their game, like now, and try to play the best.
Okay, do you want to say something to your coach or family or friends?
Yeah, just thank you for your support, and we will continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So a quick interview there of the Czech player, and we're back to following the seventh end of the USA-Italy game. We have updated the teams and the score there for you so that you can follow what's happening and who is leading. And if there are any Denmark and Germany fans out there, the game next to the USA game is Denmark-Germany. And Denmark's leading by quite a lot. It's 8-2 for them at the moment. And Denmark's playing Red Rocks, so it's looking pretty good for them at the moment too. So that game might not go until the 8th end with the way it looks at the moment. Thanks, Lydia, for your question. The score on the Spanish game is, just a second, I can't see the total score, so I need to count. The players are being nice and moving out of the way. 9-5 for Spain at the moment, so Spain's leading Austria 9-5. New Zealand, Australia game, if somebody's interested, Australia's not letting the opposition get a lot of points in this game either. Australia's leading 7-1 over there. And their setup in the 7th end looks pretty good as well. They're close to playing the skip rocks, I think, and Australia's lying 3 at the moment. Slovenia-Latvia game has gotten a little bit more even, but Latvia still got a strong lead over there. It's 6-2 at the moment. And as mentioned before, Denmark-Germany is 8-2, and the game we're following 6-4 for USA at the moment against Italy. Italy working really hard for that draw over there, but it looks like it's not as good as the draw that USA played to the back of the 8-foot. So they're not able to make that draw count at this point. Both of the teams taking quite a bit of time to think what they really want to do here. I believe the plan was to try to draw behind that guard and maybe leave their own rock right in front of that red one. It just catches the yellow guard there and changes direction a little bit. Unfortunately, the angle you're getting here is not ideal. It's a little bit hard to see where the stones are placed exactly when the visual is coming from not right above or in a direct line, but hopefully you can make out some of the game. Italy working really hard on that lane. And from where I'm sitting, it looks like it is fully buried. That draw that they just played, it's fully buried behind that yellow guard just left of the center line. So a really nice shot by the Italians, and you can see the US team is asking for a timeout. So they want a bit of time to plan what they're going to do next and talk to their coach. From the way it looks at the moment, it looks like we picked the right game. Italy's playing really well in this end, where they absolutely do need to score a little bit to make sure they give themselves a chance to win the game in the 8th. In the New Zealand-Australia game, there's a really interesting end going on as well. The forefoot of the house has, I think, 7 or 8 rocks on it. So it looks very much like mixed doubles over there. And in fact, the 4th player of the Australian team, Tally Gill, he is a mixed doubles player together with Dean Hewitt from Australia. And they did really well in the last mixed doubles worlds and have been playing on the tour a little bit, so you could probably see a bit of that influence in the strategy that she's calling. And we see a really cool takeout there by the New Zealand skip, and now it looks a lot less like mixed doubles, but looks like New Zealand has a great opportunity to maybe get a big score in this end and give themselves to get a chance to get back into the game. And USA chose to go for draw their own one onto that red one that Italy just put there, and a beautiful draw it is. That one too is pretty much fully buried behind that yellow guard. It is not shot rock, but that's not what USA needs at this point. They just needed to make sure that they don't give Italy an opportunity to take a big score here. A 2 or 3 in the 7th end for Italy would not be something that USA would want, and by placing that rock so beautifully, they've really taken out a couple of the Italian stones that could have come into play later on. And before the final rock of this end, Italy has chosen to use their timeout as well, and their coach is making her way down. And while they are discussing their timeout, I wanted to give you a view of what's happening in the Australia-New Zealand game. So New Zealand is playing with the red rocks, and it's the last rock of the New Zealand team in this end. So what they're trying to do... Oh no, sorry, it's not the last rock. It is the first rock of their skip, and they're trying to get to that yellow that Australia's placed there. pretty good shot it is. Jams a little bit on the back, but definitely put some pressure on Australia for their last rock of the end, which this one that you will see will be. And while Australia is taking their time planning that, let's get back to the game between Italy and USA. Italy has decided what they want to do with their last shot. Looking at how the guards are placed over there, it looks like what Italy will be trying is just trying to draw through the port, or maybe tap some of their own red ones on the right. Yep, a tap was the call, but unfortunately it overcurled to what it needed to be. And it looks like a score of 1 for Italy from this end. Yep, a score of 1 it is. So the total score after 7 ends in this game is 6-5 for USA. And it was really a great draw by the US team. That really saved them in this end, made it really hard for Italy to score more than 2, and had to work for that 2 really hard and couldn't quite make it. So a good tactical choice there too. So USA will have the hammer for the 8th end, and they will be leading the game by 1 point. So they're probably pretty happy with the situation that they're able to start in. So it looks like we'll be advertising the World Curling Federation a lot here. So we haven't been shooting any footage from this angle, and their beautiful banner is a little bit on the way, but this is probably the best image that I can get you, so that you'll be able to watch the 8th end of this very even game between Italy and USA. Okay, trying to give you a better view there without that banner showing. Hopefully that's a little bit better. in the Australia-New Zealand game that we were watching before for a quick while, it looks like New Zealand's now getting ready to play their last rock. And it looks like there's a slight opportunity to get 4 from this if they make it absolutely perfect, which would make things quite interesting for the last end. Oh, beautiful shot. The New Zealand skip plays a nice promotion takeout, and they will be taking 3 or 4 points from this and evening out the score a little bit. Australia was leading 7-1 before this, and I'm going to have a look at what the umpire puts up over there. And we had somebody from Spain following before, so in case you are still interested and you're still there, Spain is leading Austria 9-6 after 7 ends, and they are just starting the 8th end over there as well. It looks like things got really interesting in the Australia-New Zealand game because it was not a 3 or 4 that they took. It was actually 5 points that New Zealand scored with that promotion takeout. And the total score in that game is now 6-7. Australia's leading by 1, and Australia has got the hammer for this last end. But what looked like pretty clear end result is looking quite a lot different at the moment for Australia. And in our featured game, things are looking pretty good for Italy at the moment. They've really taken good control of the forfeit. 2 beautifully placed draw there for steal. And what will now be happening is Italy will keep putting up the guards. USA will keep peeling them for a couple more shots. And towards the end of the end, things will probably get interesting, and they will maybe start to make different kinds of choices. Another great guard there by Italy is pretty much perfectly in lane, so USA will have to do something about that. And they're now looking at a double peel of the guard, so they will hit the right hand side of their own one first and try to get rid of both of those guards. Really nice double peel there by the US player. Really makes it all the more important that Italy places this guard perfectly. If they don't, it gives USA the chance to go for a takeout of the rocks in the house. They probably won't go for that right away because they want to make sure they don't leave any guards. Okay, so Italy's guard was not as well placed, not a bad shot at all, but it left US the opportunity to play at those rocks in the house, and they chose to do that, so they got rid of one of the red rocks on the forefoot. Italy now attempting to replace that rock to make sure it stays on the forefoot. The takeout USA played before had the added benefit of leaving their own yellow rock to the left-hand side of the house. So in case USA finds themselves in a lot of trouble, they will be probably able to use that yellow on the left-hand side to try and roll off of that, if that is something that they need to do at some point. The draw that the Italian skip just played over there is showing just a little bit on the right-hand side. So USA working really hard to try to get rid of that. And they just get it past the guards. And it's a beautiful hit and stick. It leaves USA lying shot. And you can see the team's making pretty quick decisions at the moment. They're not spending a lot of time looking at the angles, and the reason is they don't have a lot of time. Both of the teams are down to about a minute. A little less for Italy, but that's fine because it is the last rock of the end for Italy. So still plenty of time to deliver it. Both of the Italian skips calling for sweeping as soon as the rock's released. So it's a really tight line. They get it past the first guard. And really, really well swept by both of the sweepers. Beautiful shot. It leaves Italy lying 2. USA calling hard for line for this last shot of this game. What might be the last shot of this game. You never know if we're going to an extra. Unfortunately, the weight's not quite there, and Italy takes a steal of 2 and wins the game. So our final score will be 7-6. Absolutely great end there by Italy, because USA was definitely not playing badly at all. They were making a lot of really good shots as well. So a great finish there by Italy and a well-deserved win. Now that this game is finished, if you want, we can try to move our camera to the other side of our sheets, and the New Zealand-Australia game is still going on, which was not very even before, but now it is. And Spain-Austria is also still going on. So Spain leading 9-6 after 7 ends, and Spain is playing with the red rocks. Austria's got yellow, and in that game they are playing the skip rocks now. I think that's what it looks like. And in the Australia-New Zealand game, Australia playing yellow rocks, New Zealand red. And as you can see, the score is 7-6 for Australia, who's got the hammer for this end. Things are looking pretty good for Australia at the moment, although I think you can see pretty much all of that yellow that they just placed there. A pretty good shot there by the Austrian skip, and I would think Spain is now trying to take out one of those Austrian rocks and make sure their skip doesn't have to throw against 3 Austrian stones in the house, because that would be enough to get Austria to an extra end in this game. And a really unfortunate miss that completely overcurls. The sweepers were working really hard on it, but it looks like the Spanish skip is going to have to think about drawing against the 3 rocks in the house if the Austrian skip can make her last draw perfect or good enough to be lying 3 before the last rock. So there's even an opportunity for an extra end here in this game. Both of the teams are really down to the wire with time as well. As the Austrian skip is getting ready, they've got about 27 seconds left in their clock. And Spain will have to be throwing pretty fast too, because they've only got 45 seconds left at the moment. And a great shot there by the Austrian skip. Gets rid of that red one at the back and is able to stick their own one and leave it there. So they are now lying 3. And Spain is choosing to play a takeout of that rock that Austria just placed there. What will be enough for Spain if they're just able to hit it, even if they roll out, they're going to be okay, because that will mean a score of 2 for Austria, and that'll be enough for Spain to win the game. And they were sweeping really hard there to get it to curl, but a very unfortunate miss there by the Spanish skip. And Austria takes a score of 3, and this game indeed will go to the extra end. As in the other game, Australia-New Zealand, New Zealand's getting ready to play their last rock. They're going for another promotion takeout. At least that's what they were looking at before. Oh, another great shot by the New Zealand skip. She's really played well these last 2 ends. There was a tiny gap to go through there, and they made it. And were able to get rid of both of the Australian stones and leave themselves lying 2, which would be enough to win the game, not just go to an extra end. I think that previous shot, the New Zealand skip played, actually even touched the guard a little bit, but it didn't change the direction too much, and they were able to get that double. Australia took a long time looking at the same shot New Zealand just played, and I think that is the one that they opted to go for. And Tally-Gill makes it, gets that double, and Australia wins the game. So the final score there is 9-6 for Australia. Wow, that looked like it could have possibly gone to an extra end as well, or even gone to New Zealand after their great 2 last ends. Australia was really down to the wire with the time too. There's 11 seconds left on their time clock. And in case someone's still interested, I will move the camera around to the extra end of that game between Spain and Austria. We have a bit of a delay in when we're moving the camera, so that's why we have to move it around a little bit and keep adjusting. And I think that's me done for tonight, and thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed the live stream. Tomorrow, I'm not sure there will be any commentary, but there will definitely be the live stream broadcast going on all day from all the draws that are happening during the day. I think it's another 4 draw days, so the first game will be starting around 8 a.m. Finish time. And later on in the week and in the round robin, there will be new commentators, some journalist students that are maybe commentating curling for the first time, but hopefully they do well. Hope you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast, and enjoy the extra end in this game between Spain and Austria. Good night.